My name is Dasunami.
And I'm Selena. This is a weekly podcast where we discuss the various aspects of sex work, from the sensual to the political.
So welcome to Pay for Play. Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about sexuality, relationships, and all that in relation to sex work, which we have quite a bit to go over actually.
So, we plan on covering everything from what's the difference between sex and romance? Do you have to be straight to do sex work, or can you be straight and do gay porn, for instance? To my sexuality, and even just the differences between sex with different individuals. So
Let's get started on that. The first thing we wanted to talk about was the sexuality question. Do you have to be bi, lesbian, or straight to do sex work with either the opposite or same gender, depending on what you identify as?
So my stance on this is very simple. You can be straight and still have sex with dudes for money. Like, there's nothing that precludes that to you. And I think a lot of people might be like, well, that doesn't make sense. If you're a man and you're having sex with other men, that's gay. But I would argue that that's just sex. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're attracted
Yeah,
to
when
them.
you think about this in terms of work, there's obviously a lot of things people do in their job that they normally wouldn't do outside of their job, and that can include being gay or being straight in some instances.
Yeah, so like for me, I haven't had any partners with in any of the stuff that I've done. It's all been solo stuff. But for me right now, I don't really find men sexually attractive. Um, I find them romantically attractive, but not sexually. Normally, I would not have sex with a man. For sex work, for like just doing a video or something, sure. I mean, it's not like I have to date the person. Cool, we'll have sex and then we'll move on with our lives. That's kind of how it is.
Yeah, and personally for me, I am already pan, so having sex with most people isn't necessarily like something that I would be not attracted to, but I have before done videos with women and with men, and it's still been like work to me. Like in one example, when I have done it with a man, I was having sex with them already beforehand and afterwards, but it's more of like a performance when you're doing it on video. Not in like that it's fake or anything or that no one's enjoying it, but you're not really thinking about the sex, you're thinking about, I'm making a video right now, and that's kind of what's going through your head most of the time.
Oh yeah, when I'm doing something, I'm not thinking, "Oh God, this feels great," and it does oftentimes. But sometimes I'm like, "Is this camera angle good for what I'm doing? Like,
Yeah,
should
exactly.
I be making more noise?"
Exactly. You're thinking about the whole performance aspect overall, really. At least that's been my experience most of the time. And again, it's not that you don't enjoy having sex or you don't enjoy having sex with the person you're with, but you're thinking about it more on the job aspect, and you're not really thinking about what's enjoyable. And that sometimes that comes into like when you're watching porn and you notice, oh, they're doing something that's like nice to watch, but maybe that wouldn't be enjoyable or realistic in a normal
See,
sexual relationship.
see all lesbian porn.
Yeah, there's a good example. I have done a video with a woman before, and yeah, it wasn't that we weren't attracted to each other, because we were, but we weren't in a relationship and we weren't actively having sex outside of it. It was definitely more for the big chunk of change that we got offered.
Yeah. Um, One of the thing, this is kind of tangentially related, but for me, I do watch porn still. Like, I may, make it, but I do enjoy consuming it as well. Um, a lot of lesbian porn isn't made for me. A lot of lesbian porn is made for straight cis dudes. Um, the stuff that's made for me is made by lesbians for lesbians most of the time because that sex is very different than what is portrayed, and that's
Yeah,
just the
so
thing.
I actually have a question on that. As I don't watch a lot of porn, and the porn I have watched has been mostly male centric. So can you like tell me some of the differences between uh, lesbian porn that you've noticed is more geared for a male audience to the female one?
So for me, we've all seen what like lesbian porn for a male audience is. It's very like it's very like showy, and you can just kind of tell that they're just having sex and bumping bodies together, and like it's not, it's just sex. Lesbian porn that's made for someone like me, um, it's a lot more emotional. There's like the focus isn't the sex. The focus is the buildup. The focus is um, the passion and the slow build. The sex itself is barely a part of it, and that's what I've noticed. That's been the difference between good lesbian porn and bad lesbian porn.
And have you had to like go out of your way to find lesbian porn that was aimed more at women or more met more of these standards?
Oh yeah, there's like I can't remember the name of the production company or the people who did it, but like there's like one or two production companies that I know that put out that type of stuff, and I know a couple of creators who put that stuff out. No, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but yeah, it's very specific. Like most of it is what you would normally see, and it's very male gazy. It's a focus on the sex rather than the build up. So
Yeah, I enjoy that actually. I might have to look into this a bit, but
I will share sources later.
that's yes, but so I like being able to highlight that difference because like in a lot of other media you can easily see who it's aimed at. In porn it's a little bit harder because you think, "Oh, well, if a lesbian wants to watch lesbian porn, they just watch regular lesbian porn, right?" And it's like I get no they don't.
Yeah, well, it's like trans porn. Like trans porn that is aimed at me is very different from trans porn that is aimed at everyone else. Because for everyone else, the focus is on the um,
Denigration.
denigration or even just the genitals themselves. Like this is a woman with a penis. Like there's never trans porn of someone who's had bottom surgery. It's always people who haven't had bottom surgery. There's always this focus
Yeah,
on
because
all
then the
this.
people who are watching who aren't trans that are watching trans porn don't even care anymore because they're like the whole reason I'm here is to fetishize a hot lady with a dick,
Yeah, exactly.
not to actually watch a trans person.
And that's the difference between, like I said, there are tons of like straight dudes who make their money doing gay porn. Like a ton of dudes who have sex with other dudes who would never date another dude. And that's the difference. You have to separate this is a job versus this is who I like. Um, Sometimes it's also just fun to experiment.
Yeah, which
Like,
is perfectly fine, and you can experiment with people and not be that sexuality in the end.
so I want to specifically talk about asexual people on this. Um, there are asexual people who do sex work. Not all sex workers are horny 24/7.
Most sex workers aren't horny 24/7. I mean, I could even speak for myself. There are plenty of videos that I make where I am not horny during them.
Yeah, same. It's a little bit different for me because it's very like obvious when I'm not stimulated, but you
Yeah,
know,
it's definitely a lot easier for people who have vaginas to
hmm
be like, "Oh yeah, I'm so wet." No, I'm not.
yeah, like I used a lot of lube before this.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's really hard to fake an erection, I would assume.
You can do it, trust me, I've done it, but it's not comfortable.
Yeah, I imagine so. But that just brings it back to the point that this is more of a performance and a work thing than a lot of other things, though I know
Yeah.
there are a lot of sex workers who this is just videos of times I'm enjoying myself, which is obviously perfectly fine. But for people who do it more often, you're going to run into more times where you're just not in the mood.
Yeah, and for asexual people, it doesn't being asexual doesn't mean they have no sex drive. That's not what that means. They're really not into sex with people for whatever reason. Um, they just don't enjoy it or they don't want to participate. And that's perfectly valid. Some of them still do sex work. And if those people wouldn't normally have sex and it's just for a job, it's the same thing as like a straight dude having sex with another straight dude for a job. Like that's all it is.
Yep, it's all about the fact that it's work versus something that you actually are doing in your free time. And this kind of goes into the difference that we have between sexual attraction and romantic attraction, right? Because a lot of people have differences between their sexual and romantic attractions, and that can play into work as well. I know that you have some experience with this, actually.
For most people, their sexual attraction is going to match their romantic attraction. Um, and that's where we get straight, bi, pan, gay, lesbian, etc. Um, but for someone like me, these aren't the same. This is it's called multi-spectrum or M-spec, and it was originally used for a lot of asexual people who might be aromantic but heterosexual. So they have no feelings of romance for anyone, but they're still straight. So that's kind of where that began. But for me, I am what is called a bi lesbian. And there are tons of people who tell you different definitions. I will explain it for me because on its face that doesn't make sense, right? Um, for me, I am biromantic. In other words, I will date anyone. I don't care if you're a dude. I don't care if you are a woman. I don't care if you're non-binary. I'll date you as long as I, you know, have some kind of connection. But I'm only a I'm homosexual. I have no attraction to non-feminine people. Um, so for me, that's the difference. Like I am just describing myself, and you using this, you can get some pretty awkward ways of saying things, such as a gay straight person who is homo romantic but heterosexual. Personally, for me, I don't know how that would work, but that's just because I don't experience it. Like, it's still a valid thing. Sexuality is
Mm-hmm.
complicated.
Oh, and a lot of people will probably just brush it off like, well, they're inherently contradictory, and if you're going to date someone without having sex with them, why would you do it? And it's like asexual people. Like
Yeah,
it can you can do whatever you want, and it's really just people putting labels on it so they're more specific and so that people understand what they're looking for in either a relationship or sexually with them. It just makes life a lot easier to come out and say like, oh, I'm a bi lesbian, so that guys would know from the beginning, oh, well, she might want to date me, but she might not want to have sex with me. And that just kind of makes life a lot easier.
yeah. Well, it will once people stop harassing
Being
you
crazy
over it.
about it,
Yeah.
yeah. Once
um,
it's more normal to use this terminology.
yeah. For me, the difficulty is, well, isn't that just a femme leaning bisexual? And no, it's not because think of it this way: it is I'm biromantic and I'm asexual when it comes to masculine folk.
Yeah, so a lot of people think that it might, contradict, but it just doesn't because it's two separate things. It's addressing two separate sides of the of a relationship coin, if you want to visualize it, the sexual attraction half and the romantic attraction half, because they are two separate things, especially in a case with someone who has two separate wants for both of those things.
Yeah, and it's kind of like dating and sex work or just doing sex work. I You don't have to like the people that you're having sex with. It certainly helps.
Yes, a lot of people
Just
just,
like oh
hire, well, not hire, but they have managerial teams that will contact other sex workers for them on their behalf and set up things. So not all these people are like talking and flirting beforehand and they're like, okay, let's make a video together. Like it does come down to work again.
yeah, and it's the same thing with a relationship. You don't have to like someone to have sex with. We've all maybe we all have, but I have certainly had sex with people I absolutely hated. Hate fucking is a thing.
Hot.
Um, but we've also had I've been in romantic relationships with people I had no sexual attraction to. And it's just a different thing.
Yeah, and people tend to be very weird about new different things.
Speaking of, so we've touched on dating while being a sex worker before, um, but how difficult do you think it is to keep it separate, or do you just incorporate dating?
Well,
Because a lot of people would go like, I can never date a sex worker.
yeah, so at least for me personally, while I've been doing sex work, the relationships I have been in have been incorporated. I've made a few videos with my current partner, and not that we didn't enjoy it while we were doing it, but again, it was mostly for the video and for show and all that. But so I've always been very open with like if I have a partner and they want to be in it or I would like them to be in it and they're okay with it, that's something I will do. But I do know some people who want to separate these parts of their lives because want to them, one of them is a job and one of them is a relationship, and some people don't want those two things to intermix because, problems can happen. Like if you're not no
Yeah,
longer dating that person after the sex work, do you keep that content up? If it's a video format and all that stuff, which is not an issue I've run into just yet. Or actually, yes, I have. The video I did make with a woman is no longer up because of a situation like that. Nothing against her. We're still just fine. But so there are times where, it can affect your content whether or not you are with that person anymore or if you were ever with that person. So some people may worry about that.
yeah, and for me, I have less of an issue with it. I know you are polyamorous, but I think your partner is monogamous, right?
Yes.
So for me and the partner I live with, we're both poly. In fact, I try and get her laid constantly. And sex is just another part of our life. So like, but I have to keep these things separate. She will help me film. I'm never going to put her in a video because she doesn't feel comfortable with it. And that's perfectly fine with me. Um, but for us, it's just another part of our lives. Sex with different people is just a thing we do. Hell, we date other people. I have partners who she doesn't. She has partners that I don't. Like
Yeah, so
there's
that
yeah.
probably makes it a little bit easier. Like if you're going to be a big time sex worker who did sex work with other sex workers, that would probably make it a little bit easier because it's easy to separate that.
Yeah.
Like to be able to have sex with other people just casually.
Yeah, and polyamory doesn't mean like you have no emotional connection with a single person. It just means my philosophy on it is that no single person can realistically meet all the needs of a single individual. And to expect that is to expect too much of a partner. And therefore, for me and for her, and for many of my other partners, we look to other people to find the needs that we have. Um, she is my main partner, as in like we live together, we share everything, we have probably the closest emotional connection, but that doesn't affect like us dating other people or having sex with other people. So actually doing sex work is a lot easier because I don't have to ask my partner, "Hey, I want to make a video with this other person who you have never met and don't know anything about. Is that cool?" I don't have to have that conversation. I can just go, "Hi, hey, I'm gonna go sleep with someone. Be back for dinner."
Yeah, which must be a lot easier because I know, like me, there's a lot of other sex workers in monogamous relationships. And personally, most of my content is solo, and so it's not really a specific issue for me. But if it was going to become a thing where I was making content with other sex workers, while I'm sure Alex would be okay with it, I know a lot of people that I would be in monogamous relationships previously would not be okay with that. So that's a conversation I would probably have to have on a base to base situation, but so that would make it a bit more difficult.
Turns out relationships are all about communication and how you communicate that. Kind
Yes,
of like
talk with your
sex.
partners. Exactly. Talk with your partners. If you're gonna be a sex worker and you're gonna do this, you might be breaking a boundary of theirs if you just go have sex with other random sex workers for content. So be considerate because while your thing is still a job and it's still valid and what you want to do with it is obviously very valid, your partner's feelings are also valid.
Although I do want to admit I absolutely love your partner's defense of you whenever someone comes at you for being a sex worker. I have seen him go, yeah, if they get paid $300 to suck a dick, I'm gonna have like that's fucking our bills paid. Fuck you.
Yeah, so I don't think it would be a huge issue for me, but it's still obviously would be a conversation I have
Oh
to have.
yeah,
So obviously
obviously.
have those conversations with your partner. It's okay because even if they end up saying no, like that means that you have more to think about like if you want to be with this person or if it doesn't really bother you and you're fine doing sex work solo.
So I guess I actually have two questions for you on this.
Shoot.
So should you doing sex work have any bearing on who you date in the future?
Well, to me, it should not. But I do know, like a lot of like a lot big conversation going on at this moment. Actually, is if you've been something in the past, will that person still be able to date you? Like this reminds me a lot of the trans question going on. Like if you
Right.
have a partner who meets everything that you want in somebody, including genitalia, but you found out that they were trans in the past, would you still date them? And the answer should be yes, because you still have all that you want in a partner. Obviously, this is a hypothetical though. But I think this should also apply to sex work. A lot of people might say, "Oh, what if they're all gross and they have a bunch of STDs?" And it has been proven before that sex workers are often the most sexually conscious and protect and safe from this because it's their job. A lot of people think about this on a daily basis. A lot of people get tested on a daily basis. And obviously it's not required and you should be careful who you're having sex with even if it's just for a job, especially if it's just for a job. A lot of people might bring that up, but again, you can just say, number
Yeah.
one, I'm not, because you can just get tested and figure that out, or you can go back around to the generalization of sex workers just happen to be a lot safer when it comes to sex anyway. So that should not really be a huge concern, though obviously if you're going to have a partner with somebody and you want to ask them to get tested or if they ever have had a sexually transmitted disease, that's perfectly fine because that's about you. That
Yeah.
affects you directly. So it's fine to ask, of course, but to completely write someone off because they might have an STD or something without even asking them if they do, just assuming on their job is a little messed up.
Yeah, the question is if I told you how many sexual partners I had, think of me as I am right now. you know me. We're friends. We talk all the time. You know who I am. Does the fact, if I said I've only had three sexual partners, change how you feel about me? What if
Absolutely not.
what if I say I've had 30 to 40 sexual partners? Does that change anything about me?
And obviously, for me personally, no.
Yeah. So if just that number changes how you feel about a person, I think you really need to reconsider what your problem is, because your problem's not with the person. Your problem is probably with sex workers, or just
Yeah, actually, I have a pretty good example of this before, but it was before I started sex work specifically, though the same person had some very negative views when they found out I was a sex worker. Before this person that I was dating, before we could even date, they asked one if I was a virgin, which fine, you can ask someone that, not
it
that somebody has to
doesn't
tell you.
fucking matter.
But yes, exactly. It doesn't matter. But when this person found out I was not, and actually found out the number of sexual partners I've had, we still ended up dating, but they became upset, to put it lightly. A lot of people take this personally and are like, "Oh my gosh, this person's going to be comparing me to them," or I think they're gross, or they're just genuinely very insecure in themselves, which is a lot of what I found the issue to be, was not the fact that I was an awful person for having sex with multiple different people before them, but it was just the fact that they were extremely insecure in themselves, and
Yeah.
that bothered them that I had a standard to look to before them. Not that I even did, because if I want to be with someone, I'm not necessarily thinking about how they stack up to other people I've had sex with, because I'm not having sex with those people anymore. At least for me, because that relationship was monogamous.
Yeah. So again, for me, one, polyamorous. I have sex with different people. Two, I actually have had like 30 to 40 sexual partners. I don't keep track, but like I've had a lot of experience. If I'm having sex with you, unless you are just absolutely horrid at sex, I'm not comparing you to anyone. I'm Did I enjoy myself? Yes. Did you enjoy yourself? Yes. Successful sex.
And I know a lot of it for you comes down to some kind of emotional connection, because you've said before that you just like to be friends with someone first before you're their partner.
Yeah,
Like it's friends first, partner second. So I assume that would also tie in a bit to the sex with them.
I mean a little bit. For relationships, it's always friends first, uh, partners second. For sex, it's again, I think of it as just sex. If I want, I have went to bars and just had one night stands because I just wanted to. It's actually, I've had a couple of like threesomes in my life. Um, the last one I was involved in, and actually helped me figure out I was trans, which is odd, was with a trans dude and a trans woman. Um, and that actually helped a lot. But I had no emotional attachment. I went to a bar and they picked me up, and that's kind of how it went. Like I don't need an emotional attachment. I don't need an emotional attachment, but it helps. So you talked about like how your partner was very insecure. I think a lot of that does come down to insecurities with people. Um, but it's almost always, again, hi, I'm a woman, but I made the mistake of being a dude for a while. Um, no one ever complained about the number of sex partners I had. Zero people did. Um, and I have had sex with a lot of people. I have a friend, cis woman. She has had sex with more people than me. People always judge her, never judge me.
Yeah, that does come down to a lot of social connotations when you're getting in a relationship of how many sexual partners you had. Because I have no doubt if I was in the same situation back then with a femme person instead, they either wouldn't have asked that question in the first place because they just assumed that it's okay even if I did, or if they did ask that question, they might have been less belligerent with it after they found out the answer.
Yeah, also virginity is just a bullshit concept. And also, hey guys, um, people's vaginas, they don't grow like you don't wear a vagina out. Like that's a
This
myth.
is not a
Stop.
pair of shoes, okay?
Yeah,
The body, okay, you change your all the skin on your body every single month. Can you imagine what your vagina changes? How fast that changes?
yeah, like
Like the cells and the structure, or well, your structure doesn't specifically change, but like revitalizing in a way. Like things don't just flop out and they're like, oh, well, that's how it is. It's not like you get old and your skin gets flappy and it's like, well, that's how it's going to stay forever. Like, no, it doesn't do that.
if it did that, then okay. So again, um, hi, I date people. I'm a sexual person. I've dated plenty of women and have had sex a lot with those women. If what you were saying was true, then I've had sex with one woman more than that person than some of the people you've had sex with who you're complaining about, like total number of partners.
Exactly. People don't think about they're just like, well, how many partners did you have and not how many times have you had sex, period. No one cares how many times you've period had sex because that means that you might be having sex multiple times with one person and no one cuz if they were going to apply this evenly to make it make sense, they would have to address, well, what if I've had sex with one person 30 times? Does that change your mind? And like, no, it doesn't because they're not focused on the sex. They're focused on, oh, so you're a femme person who's had multiple partners? Well, I guess you're a whore.
Yeah, and it's purity and like slut shaming, and it's a horrible thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even see how this tied back in when they found out that I was a sex worker after we were done dating. Because that's when it started. I started pretty, I'd say about a year after we had been apart,
Hmm.
and a lot of it was just, whore, wanna be cam girl, all that, all those insults. So you can obviously see how much this insecurity with themselves or just this general disdain for people who have had sex affects people and their views on others.
Yeah. So is sex more fun after you've done sex work, you think?
um, wow. I'm not sure.
I for me, for
Yeah.
me, I think it is because I know my body better and I have more experience to draw on.
Yeah, I feel like that could really apply to you because of, how much more you've had to find out about yourself. And then when you started sex work, almost coinciding with that.
Yeah, turns out when you hate your body, you're bad at sex. Turns out, turns out, I was relying on a very specific part of my anatomy to make up for the fact that I hated myself and was not very good. I am infinitely better at sex now that I've started transitioning, and now that I've taken the time doing sex work to explore my
Yeah,
body.
I feel like this could apply to a lot of cis people too. Like, they take the time to actually figure themselves out. Because I know, at least for a lot of femme people in the recent generations, you grow up in a household or a Christian household or a puritanical household where self exploratory is kind of frowned upon. So once they
Yeah,
get into something like sex work, where you kind of have to know your body, know what looks good to other people, know what performance is good, you might figure out some things about yourself that you didn't know before. And for me, this doesn't specifically apply because before I started sex work, I would say maybe a year before I got real after I left this said toxic person, I learned a lot about myself, a lot of what I was comfortable with and people I wanted to have sex with because I was way more open to just doing it all with people that I was attracted to. So I got to figure out people I liked and people I didn't like, and then what I liked to do with myself, or what I wanted from a partner to do to me, and getting more comfortable with being open and honest and upfront about that, because I know a lot of people aren't at that stage where they're comfortable telling their partner, "Hey, could you do this instead?" Because it's kind of awkward to address that first.
Oh yeah, I actually really like BDSM and talking. I am very much Dom. So I like ordering my partner around with her consent. Um, that is super awkward to bring up if you're not comfortable doing that.
Yeah, so a lot of it takes, you have to take time to get to know yourself and get confident in the things that you want, and get confident in being able to communicate that to a partner, or be just confident in being able to do that to yourself.
Yeah. So, my suggestion to everyone listening to this: explore your sexuality. You may find out that you don't like stuff. For me, I don't really like bottoming for people. Like, that's just a thing I don't enjoy. But I would have never found that out if I didn't experiment. So, like, yeah, if you're a straight dude, I don't know, go suck a girl's dick or something. I don't, like, don't be put off because you think, first of all, if you're giving a blowjob to a girl, it's still not gay. But don't let the oh, that's gay thing like stop you. Go explore. Like, explore your body, explore it with other people. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Like,
Yeah,
again, I don't like bottoming. I just don't bottom.
yeah, and I mean, a lot of people will be like, "What if I know I already don't like it?" Which, it's fine. You don't. We're not saying you have to go have sex with a trans woman, or with a guy, or with someone that you're not normally sexually attracted to, just to see. Because, like, obviously, not, you don't need
Yeah.
to do anything, but a lot of experience comes with just trying out new things. It's like any other thing. If you're gonna try foods, like, writing something off right away might not be the best idea. You can do it and it's fine, but if you really want to explore things, that's perfectly okay too, and it doesn't invalidate your straightness as a guy if you have sex with a dude and find out you don't like it, or it doesn't invalidate you as any other sexuality if you just want to try it out, just to make sure that you're right in your decision.
Yeah. You don't even have to get another person involved. Toys are a wonderful thing for this.
And watching
Um,
porn could be a good thing for this too.
yeah. Go watch gay porn. Go watch lesbian porn. Good lesbian porn. Go watch good trans porn, or good straight porn. Like, if that's a thing. Go watch a BDSM thing. Go watch just anything that you haven't experienced, and see if you like it. If you like it and you aren't comfortable like going out and finding someone who kind of matches that, and there's also a lot of other things with, like, for trans people, there's like chasers, and that's a whole different conversation. But, like, start with a toy. Um, if you're a dude, go and get like a butt plug or a dildo or something. Like, see, just play with it. Just see how that feels. And if you're a woman, go go get a strap on or something and just see how that feels to you. Like, experiment with your body. Find out the stuff that you enjoy. You never have to do the things you don't enjoy, and you never have to consent to doing things just because, oh, it's a thing I have to try because
I haven't tried it
someone
yet.
told me
Yeah.
to. Yeah, you're not me. I'm a hedonist. I live for new experiences. If I haven't tried it, I am gonna try it.
Yeah, so that's like a really good way to start. If someone's like looking for, how am I going to figure out what I want, or how am I going to figure out me when it comes to sex and what I enjoy, you can do it by yourself. You don't have to involve another person. I know personally for me it was a lot of involving other people, because I was exploring the fact that maybe I'm not strictly monogamous, or maybe I feel more okay sometimes when I'm single and being able to have sex with people that I want to, and that helped me figure out a lot about myself. Or just taking time by yourself, like not like you don't have to be surrounded by people all the time. Sometimes that can just help you be more emotionally okay by yourself too, which is an important part of starting to get to know yourself, is being okay being by yourself, and that's a really good first step.
Yeah. Explore your body first, explore other people's bodies second, because you're going to be better at sex if you know what you like and you're more comfortable in your own
And if
body.
everyone knows what they like and can communicate that, then everyone can be better at sex with their partners, because then you know what to do. Because people aren't going to be able to read your mind. People usually can't read your body language the best, and no one's an expert at that. So if you're trying to like point someone to do a specific thing to your body, they might not get that until you tell them.
Yeah, and to bring this all back to sex work, remember, sex work is art. It's not a how-to guide to please your lover. It is artistic, and sometimes the stuff that we do as sex workers is not actually the most pleasurable thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hope that we have at least helped you understand a little bit more about what's it like, what is sexuality when it comes to sex work. Like, no, you can have sex with a guy and still be straight. You can separate sex from the job and your romantic things. There are boundaries, and you have to discuss, and it's all about communication. Um, there's different types of attractions. There's romantic and sexual attraction. People have complex sexualities, and of course, explore your body, explore who you are, who you want to be, and it really does make you a much better lover.
Yes, knowing yourself and loving yourself is a very important step in all this.
So, from both of us, we love you, and yeah, go explore yourself.
Yes, thank you for watching.
Thank you for listening to Pay for Play.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support us, please give us a follow and share us around. You can follow us on Twitter at pay_for_play, where you can find more information on the topics that we talk about and links to our resources.
We appreciate each and every listener. Until next time.